I'm Aiman, and welcome back to one of my DIY repair videos. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to replace the triple burner switch for our Samsung 5.9 cubic feet stainless steel freestanding range. So the reason that we're doing this is because our burner is not working properly. To be precise, usually what happens is, you're supposed to be able to turn the dial, and depending on where you turn it, it's going to, this turns on the middle dial, this turns on the medium one, and this one turns on the big one. And also, if you turn it to low, then it's supposed to turn on, it's supposed to be less warm, and if you turn it on to high, it's supposed to be really warm. In our case, what's happening is that no matter where we turn the dial, the burner is always going at full maximum heat. Usually what's supposed to happen is that the burner is supposed to, usually if you set it to any setting, it will get up to that heat, and sometimes it will actually cool down and then warm up to be around the heat that it needs to be. In our case, it's not doing that. It's always staying at full blast, max heat. So we looked it up, and this is actually a very common problem, sadly a common problem for a $2,000 machine, that it's actually the switch right here that's broken. It's a very costly switch. That being said, it is an easy repair to do. All you have to do is pull out the oven, make sure that it's turned off, unplugged, and the breaker flipped. Take out the control switch and the dial, replace it with a new control switch, put the dial back on, and there we go. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly that. Okay. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is pull out the oven. If you're interested in how to pull out the oven, I have a separate video on it that's really helpful, especially if you're very short like me. Make sure that the breaker is flipped, that the oven's unplugged, so there's no electrocution risk. And we're going to take off this back panel. There's 5 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that are Phillips head. You just take a driver and take them all out. Okay, I like to do this one last because it might fall out. And then you can just simply slide it out. Alright, so quick rundown. So these are 4 switches. So this one controls the triple burner. This one controls the single burner. This one controls the single burner in the back. And this one is a double burner that controls this burner and this little extension for the griddle. This is also for the control panel. Now before we go further, you want to make sure that you take a picture of the switch that you're working on, just to make sure that when you wire it back, it is wired the same way. I'm pretty sure it's physically impossible to wire these differently, like they're all different sizes, but just in case, important. Anyway, we're going to take out this switch and compare it to the new one. So the first thing that we need to do is take out the dial. So pull off the dial. I'm sorry if that's the wrong terminology. I believe it's also called a knob. And there are 2 screws right here that we want to take out. You can hold on to the back just in case you're worried about it falling out. Give me a second. Let me put a towel so that I don't scratch my mom's burner. Or sorry, stovetop. Alright. And as you can see, it does come out when you take out the screws, so just be careful of that. Now we can look at it from the back. And we bought this replacement from Amazon. If you're interested in buying it, I'll link it down in the description below. It's about $150. It's really expensive. I think it's more than $150. Actually, correction, I think the genuine one is $180. So we got this aftermarket. I think it's about $70. So if you really need to replace this, definitely recommend Amazon. Because this is an easy repair job, even if it breaks like another 5 years down the line. Probably cheaper to get this one than get this one. Anyway, let's compare these. So, I mean, the fronts are obviously going to be similar. This will help us orient it. And there's a few markings on it that indicate which orientation they should be. So this says this is the top side of it. So just comparing them, it looks like they do all have the same connections. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect everything and then replug it. Oh, and as far as part number goes, you can either use the number that's found on the website, or you can just look at the side of the part and find this little string of numbers and letters. PER 00113T. T stands for triple, I assume. And that's how you can find the part to replace it. So everything else looks pretty similar. Take a picture before you unplug everything, but if you're really worried about wiring them wrong, you can do it one by one. So let's do that. Although actually it might be a bit harder to wire it one by one because all the wires get... Yeah, it might be hard to do all of them separately because they're all wired together. But all you have to do is just pull them out. Yeah, not really convenient, but I'll try my best to do it the way I recommended earlier. So also make sure you don't pull on the wire. You pull on the harness, I think it's called. Just so you don't break the wire. And you might have to use a screwdriver to pry it out. And to access that one, I'm gonna pull out this red one first. The bigger ones are usually easier to take out. You can see it's also kind of keyed, so you can't really plug it in the wrong way. Okay, and then this one I'll take out as well. Okay, this one, I don't know why it's so hard to take out. Oh wow, I'm pulling on it really hard. Let's see. Okay. Oh man. Looks like it kinda got messed up, but not too badly. Should be still pluggable. I don't know what kept it in so much. If anyone happens to know why that was so stuck, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe that you could give us more tips to make it easier to take out. Anyway, I'm gonna loop this around so it's easier to plug in. And I'm pretty sure you physically can't plug this in the wrong way. Although now it's loose. The only thing that's keeping it in is the fact that the wire is so springy. But otherwise it's really easy to pull out. Okay, so not sure what really happened, but my theory is that when we plugged it in, this metal contact sort of caved in. We were actually plugging it in between the contact and the plastic. And even if the contact itself is not tight enough, it's easy to fix with a needle nose plier to sort of tighten that up and squeeze it in, crimp it in more. But now when we plug it in, you have a pretty tight fit. And it doesn't come out. If you are worried about it and you're unable to crimp it, which you should be able to crimp it, but if you aren't able to crimp it, I suppose a temporary solution would be to wire these together so they can't come off. Anyway, now we have all the wires plugged in. Again, make sure that when you put it back, the orientation is that this is on top. Yep. It's not focusing. Okay, make sure that this is facing the top, and put it back on. Take your 2 screws, line it up. You can go here more. And make sure it's lined up, screw it in by hand. And then you can screw it back in with a screwdriver. Okay, now you want to take your knob and put it back on. And let me just make sure. So it's sort of keyed. You can see this hole is caved in with this little nub sticking out. And if you look at the knob itself, you're not looking close enough. You can see that on the top side of it, there's a little ridge. And on the bottom side of it, there's this little metal piece. So what I assume is what's happening is that this little bump goes into the ridge, and this flat side does not. So let's put that on. Okay. So I think what should happen is that if it's in the wrong place, that it will lock at the bottom. But if it's in the right place, it'll lock at the top. Okay, looks like it's properly switching between the three. Okay, and so now what you want to do is take the panel, put it back on, and all that's left to do is just turn it on and see if it works. Now, if you want to test the switch before you do any replacements, then there are tons of videos out there on how to test these switches to make sure that they work. In this case, because we bought the part from Amazon, I recommend just replacing it and seeing if it works rather than going through all that trouble. Just because if it's not the switch that's the problem, you can just return the switch to Amazon. And then if it's the burner, you just fix the burner. But that's it. You replace the panel, test it, and then you're good. Okay. Okay, so that's where I'll end off the video. Make sure that it's facing with this sort of caved in part outside. So that's it for this video. Today I showed you how to replace the triple burner switch for a Samsung stainless steel 5.9 cubic foot freestanding range. If this video helped you out, let me know in the comments down below. And if you discovered anything while you were in the process of doing this repair yourself, let us know. Let other viewers in the comments know below. And if you have any tips for just making this process better, feel free to let me know. Always helpful to have dialogue going on. And if this video helped you, definitely subscribe. But for now, I'm Aiman. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And look at other videos on EyeOnAiman, especially the videos on DIY repair. And if you're interested, we're also doing the same repair on the other side, on that double burner. And it's funny because this one is actually, the triple burner actually broke like 3 days ago. But before that, the double burner was the one that was broken for like a year. We didn't want to replace it just because it was so costly. So if you want to see that video on replacing the double burner, it's pretty much the same procedure here. Go check that out, and I'll link it in the description down below. But for now, I'm Aiman, and signing out. Peace. This door. If you look right here behind the drawer, you can see all the important manufacturer information, including the model number. But one way you can get leverage is to pull out the bottom drawer and get your hands on the bottom rim below the oven. That's a pretty secure place to get it. It's a very stable place. And then pull. Just like that. And if your feet are stuck, for example, the oven feet, sometimes they're like basically glued to the floor after a lot of years. You just grab and you pull up. Alright, so now I want you guys to get a close look at how everything is wired. This video might be helpful if you're in the middle of repairs and you forgot how everything was wired. I think the genuine one is $180. So we got this aftermarket. I think it's about $70. So if you really need to replace this, Definitely recommend Amazon. Okay, so not sure what really happened, but my theory is that when we plugged it in, this metal contact sort of caved in. We were actually plugging it in between the contact and the plastic. And even if the contact itself is not tight enough, it's easy to fix with a needle nose plier to sort of tighten that up and squeeze it in, grip it in more. But now when we plug it in, we have a pretty tight fit. But now that they're all rewired, we want to make sure that the we want to make sure that the top is again facing the top side. Is it focusing? Yeah. Make sure that the top is facing the top, and loop it back too. Then we want to screw it back on. Oh, wrong door. This door. If you look right here behind the drawer, you can see all the important manufacturer information, including the model number and the serial number.